Now, I got to guess is what I just told you. I'm going to call him in. He just wrote in on a card. He's sitting down there in Palo Alto, California, the Silicon Valley capital. Victor Davis Hanson, you know him. Today, an updated version of his book, The Case for Trump, comes on out. So Mr. Hanson's making the rounds. We're happy to have him. So you know this woman as well as anybody because you live in California and you've watched her from DA in San Francisco rise up to now a presidential candidate. And I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Vice President Harris would like to turn the United States into California. That's her model. Am I wrong?
No, you're right on target, Bill. And you're also on target about the selection historically of Governor Walz. We've never seen it. Even, Bill Clinton picked Al Gore in the days when Al Gore was considered a Southern Democrat before he kind of lost his mind. And we remember John Kerry picked Lieberman, who was to the right of him. And they all do that. Even McGovern picked Sergeant Shriver. He had to, but before that it was Eagleton who had to step down. So I don't think, and even Hillary picked Tim Kaine, who was to the right of her. So we've never seen a left-wing candidate, as you said, this far left, but we've never seen somebody almost inexplicably, and you gave reasons why she did, but it still seems inexplicable that she would pick someone that would emphasize that she's out of touch with the American people. And I think it shows you that they have confidence in a paradigm that worked in 2020 with Joe Biden. They outraised Trump 3-1, 3.5-1, maybe. They think they can do that again. They kept Biden, who was cognitively challenged, in the basement. They think that she's linguistically challenged, and you're right about that. They're not going to give her an occasion to reveal that. They're confident that they changed the voting laws in the swing states, so 70% of the voters will not be voting on Election Day, majority of them Democrats. And then they feel that they repackaged Joe Biden into a moderate. That's going to be harder, as you point out, given her record, but they're going to try to do it. And they have an advantage because this is dumped on us. She hasn't been a candidate. She's never won a primary. She's never won a delegate. We only have 90 days left. And you made another good point about Donald Trump. He doesn't have a minute, an hour, a day to get off message about what you just talked about. He's got to drill home. Do you really want to have this woman do to the United States what she did to California? She's hard left. Her running mate is as hard left. We've never been in this territory. Here are her positions. And he doesn't have time to go after Kemp or the Attorney General of Georgia or the DNA of Kamala Harris. But he has a rich target, but he doesn't have much time to get her out and let her talk, because to let her talk is to turn people off. And he's got to find a way to do that.
All right, but he still makes mistakes almost on a daily basis in his rallies.
Yes.
And you would think, look, it's not like, Professor, that Donald Trump is a dumb man. He's not. He's a brilliant man. I've known him for 32 years. And he can absorb information fairly quickly. And he understands big picture. He's not like you and me. He doesn't research and he doesn't have a frame of reference that because we've devoted our life to studying the country and the world in a historical sense. He doesn't have that. But when presented with information, he can absorb it, and he's articulate enough to get it out. But he doesn't seem to be able to control himself. And that's what the Democrats are banking on, that he will continue to do this kind of Kemp stuff, election of 2020 stuff, until the end. And that'll be enough to give it to Kamala.
Yeah, I think what they're thinking is, and I think what Trump is thinking, he felt that after the debate meltdown with Biden and then the panic in which at one point he was 8 poll ahead, and then the conventional wisdom that Biden was still going to be the candidate because the left had admitted they had a Spiro Agnew type of vice president that had saved Nixon for a while. And then when they forced Biden out and they put in Harris, everybody thought this was going to be even worse, but it wasn't, because of the money that came in and the keeping her secluded. And I don't think Donald Trump has has shifted gears yet. He still thinks he's in the lead. He still thinks it's valuable to say how bad Biden did in the debate, how bad Biden was, how bad it is, but he hasn't shifted gears to realize that Biden is irrelevant now.
Do you think he can shift gears, Professor? Do you think
I think he can.
You do? Okay.
I think you've talked to the people around him, Bill. You know that if you were to compare them to the 2016 and 2020 casts, they're a lot more polished, they're more professional. And when you said they're worried, or they are. I have talked to some of them too, and they know exactly what he has to do, and they've told him exactly what he has to do, and they've told him that if he doesn't do it, we're going to lose, because we've never been in this territory. We've never had anybody this left wing, and if they win the Senate and the House with her, then I'm not very confident for what's going to happen to us. I think it's going to be a disaster.
That brings me to my next question. So you got a lot of billionaire money, and we have been investigating, and we put the people up, Reed Hastings, Lincoln, a lot of billionaire money coming behind Kamala Harris. Do these people not know that if this far left cabal gets power, congressional and executive power, that a wealth tax is coming? And they're going to seize private property. They're going to seize what these billionaires have in a big way. They don't care about that? So why do they keep funding the far left candidates?
They do, because they feel so far they've never been subject to the consequences of their left-wing ideology. If you're a Mark Zuckerberg or you're Reid Hoffman or the Google people, they always feel that they can virtue signal about the wonders of teachers' unions. Their kids are in private school. How we need 30 kilowatt, 30 cents a kilowatt power in California, but they live on a cool coast and they have enough money, they don't care. And that goes down the line on every issue. On fracking, everybody's going to drive an EV semi-truck and charge up every 2 hours, but they're going to fly their Gulfstreams or be met at the air. That's how they think. And they don't think in their wildest dreams that these left-wing politicians that they think they bought and owned will ever be able to impinge on their lifestyle. They may raise taxes. They like that, because they really despise the upper middle class, professional classes, and middle class. They see them as trying to aspire to where they are, or something like that. And I just don't think they feel that they're in danger. Some of them do. People like Elon Musk understands that these people are basically socialists. But even if they weren't socialists, we owe $37 trillion almost in debt. It's a $1.2 trillion a year to service it. Historically, when you get in that situation of 130% GDP that you owe, you either inflate the currency to pay it back, or you cancel the debt. And we saw a little bit of that with Obama when you remember that, Bill, he reversed the order of the creditors on those that car deal.
Yeah, there are games you can play.
Yeah, but I don't.
It's going to come, right. You can't postpone Armageddon.
No, you can't.
You can't.
And I think and I think you're right about confiscation, because they floated it before. They said they have. The
only way to do it is to take private property from those who are wealthy. That's the only way to do it, because they wouldn't drill in Anwar and then use the profits to pay down a debt, which is a way you could do it, but they won't do it because the polar bears might be upset, or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
All right.
They said that. They have said that. Kamala Harris said that.
Because you wrote the book. Because you wrote the book on Trump. When he selected J.D. Vance, I was agnostic about it. I mean, I know him. I don't know him personally, Vance. Never met him. But I know Hillbilly Elegy, and I know what he campaigned on. And I was agnostic about it, because you give the candidates a little room to select people they feel comfortable with. But now we're 3 weeks in. I don't see him as being a plus right now, Vance. Maybe he will emerge as one. How do you see it?
Well, I saw it when he did it for taking a hit, because I've known him and I've met him and I like him. I thought there would be a bad 3 to 4 weeks, because when he came out of the hillbilly elegy, he was ebullition. And by the way, the people who really welcomed him were the left, because they said this is an authentic voice of the working class white Americans, and he's telling us how pathological they are. And until he got turned off by those people who he wasn't comfortable, they welcomed him. So he said things, as you remember, when he's in his mid-30s about Trump and MAGA and all that, that was going to be very problematic. So I was aware of that. And then he's a white male and he's a MAGA, so he's sort of like Waltz and Harris, and he duplicates Trump. But then I thought, well, once they clear that out, there are some assets, and there are a lot of them. He's, of all the people, I think, under 50 in the Republican Party, he's the best adept at repartee, interviews, extempore talk in a way that nobody, like Harris couldn't do that, Waltz couldn't. So if he's out there every day challenging reporters, taking questions, explaining what Trump is doing, and that's a plus. And then,
all right, well, I hope he comes on here, because so far we're not making a lot of progress. Yeah, I mean, it's almost inexplicable. Last question for you. We want people to read your book, even if they don't support Donald Trump. Because your arguments, and I've said this on the air when you're not involved, that I think you're the one of the few columnists that are better than I am. I mean, I hate to admit that, but you back up what you say, and I try to do that too. I mean, it's not ideological gibberish. It's here's how I see it. This is why I see it, and that's most valuable. So the case for Trump, I want you to nail down in about a minute. What is the biggest thing why people should vote for Trump?
Well, he is unattached to the vested interest. He may have vested interests of his own, but they are not the administrative state in Washington, New York, or Silicon Valley. So he comes in there with an adversarial point of view. The downside was he didn't have anybody supporting him in either party. He was inexperienced. This time around, hopefully, he will have that combative idea, and he understands that the real problem in this country is the unelected. We've got 2 or 3 million people working for the federal and state governments, and they're not elected, and they control our lives in the EPA, IRS, CIA, Pentagon. And they destroyed his first administration. If you think of the Mueller investigation, they probably hurt him in his re-election with the laptop disinformation and all that. And he understands that. I don't know of a lot of Republicans who say we've got to address the administrative state. The other thing is almost everything I support, but the big thing he's going to have to deal with is the debt. And so far he hasn't done that. And I think he could very easily.
Well, the Anwar thing alone. The Anwar thing alone would generate trillions of dollars over 10 years to pay down that debt. And all that is, right.
Yeah,
it's not complicated. You sell that oil on the world market, and that means that weakens Russia right there, okay? It weakens OPEC, and then the profits all go, because it's federal land, all go to paying the debt down. That's it.
It's what he's talked about that, and so that's. I think he's the only person. And the other thing is he has
the other side's never going to do it.
Yeah,
right.
No, he has a Reagan streak, and he's upbeat. It's not what we can't do, we shouldn't do, we can't do this. It's we're going to do this, and we're going to try this, and we're going to. So that's reassuring that there's somebody who says we're not through yet.
But believe me when I tell you, Reagan listened to his advisors, probably too much, because Reagan was not Trump, different drummer and all that. So anyway,
you got to remember, Bill, you know better than I that phrase. Let Reagan be Reagan. Remember that?
Right. Well, Trump would be smart to look back at Reagan, and particularly in the debates and things like that. Reagan listened to his people. Anyway, we wish you're welcome anytime on this program, Professor. We wish you the best with the book, The Case for Trump. Want everybody to check it out. Easy to get. Amazon and all that. And when my book comes out, I'm going to send you an advance copy. because you're a historian. I want you to be ruthless on me.
I'll come on and I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, but I want you to be ruthless when you come on
Well,
and say, "Oh, I guess." So that
I don't
would
think
be.
I'm ever gratuitously ruthless, but I'm
No,
candid.
no, but you're a smart guy, and I want that kind of a debate. I think the folks would really like it too. All right, Professor, thanks very much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.